Hey everybody, welcome back Between the Cracks. I'm your host Jen, and tonight we're going to be discussing the docuseries Troubled Teen Inc., featured now on Max, also I believe on HBO with whatever cable carrier you have. This is a serious docuseries. We're going to jump right into it. However, before I get started, I would like to thank Tara Malone, the director of this documentary, for doing this documentary. Every single docuseries, standalone documentary, social media post, articles, whatever, everything that we can do as survivors to raise our voices, to raise awareness so that people know that this industry still exists, that as I speak, there are teenagers being tortured, being restrained, being isolated, being attacked verbally, being attacked in other ways. We don't know. And I would like to dedicate this review to the memory of Evan Wright. Evan Wright is highly featured in this docuseries. He is an elder in the troubled teen industry survivor community, as he was a survivor of the Seed. The Seed directly came from Synanon by Art Barker. He started the Seed. We lost Evan Wright July 12th, a day after Troubled Teen Inc. was premiered on Max. And I just personally want to thank Evan for everything that you did. May your memory be a blessing. And I'm sorry that we lost you. We will carry on our fight and we will win. Now here's the trailer.
When I first got to Bethel, my biggest shock that day was going in the dorm. I wasn't a troubled teen. I was a little boy.
I was 17 when I went to Lakeland Girls Academy. My mom kept saying, "You're going to be taken somewhere safer."
They took me to a utility closet and told me to take off my clothes. I was 14.
When kids are in trouble, it's an extreme situation for the parents. Troubled teen programs offer an extreme solution.
Isolating people, sleep deprivation, food deprivation. The abuse is the treatment.
The reality was they were sending us to some sort of a reverse insane asylum.
People held me when I urinated. They watched me when I brushed my teeth.
What you get are basically sociopaths who like torturing people.
They held me down and they dumped buckets of water on me. I couldn't breathe. I thought I was going to die. What does that do to somebody? What does it do to everybody that watched that?
One thing that all of these programs have in common is that the longer the child is held there, the more money they make.
Troubled teen industry is $1 billion industry. It's a cash machine.
The politicians are protecting the money.
These people are powerful. They're experts at covering up abuse.
They know how to play the game.
We've known about this for decades. Children have died and nothing's really changed.
We heard from so many children who were so abused. It was horrifying.
This is only going to make your kid worse. They will come back with depression. They will come back with anxiety.
There's a 15-year-old in the program right now being beaten up, being abused.
And now everybody wants to know, how the hell did it happen? And how?
So that is now available on Max, on the Max app everywhere. You can see it. The survivors that are, this isn't as focused as, say, the program. Okay, it's not about one program. This is about the program as a whole, the tough love industry. Now, having been a survivor of the troubled teen industry, there's no love, but there's a lot of toughness. Tough love, I believe that we've all figured out. If not, you should figure out that the tough love doesn't work. It's like literally an oxymoron. And what they cover in this, we have the advocates, which are Gloria Allred, which you saw in the trailer. We also have Rosemarie her up here real quick. I apologize. We have Rosemary Aquilina. She is a United States judge, and I'm so excited to have her. It should be like this. I'm so excited to have her in our fight now, because this was the judge, for anyone who's familiar, back in 2017, 2018, the Larry Nassar trial. That was the judge right there. Judge Aquilina. She's, I don't know, she's kind of like a personal, I don't like to use the word hero, but I really think highly of her. She's a wonderful, strong, intelligent woman, and I love that. We have Jen Robinson, who you saw with the curly hair. She's a survivor of Provo Canyon School in Utah. Evan Wright, who I mentioned at the beginning of this, was a survivor of the seed. There's also an author of a book called Generation Kill, from when his time embedded with Marines in Iraq and Afghanistan. He was a highly recognized writer and an amazing advocate for our cause. Danielle Bergoli, some of you might know her as Bad Baby, or the Cash Me Outside girl from the Monster Phil show. I want people to take Danielle more seriously now. She was 13 when she very first appeared on that television series. And having gone to Turnabout Ranch, and the places that she went and the things that she saw and the things that she experienced are just as real as us. Just because she was on some sensationalized so-called doctor's talk show, you know, that man was just really in it for the money. I have videos of him doing commercials for these, the like Aspen Educational Group is one. I showed another one previously. I will show more. This isn't about him. He's kind of featured in here, in that Gloria Allred is helping. Is not helping. I'm sorry. She is representing a client whose name is Hannah, who is suing Dr. Phil and the Dr. Phil show for abuses. Unfortunately, Dr. Phil and the Dr. Phil show, they enjoy having all of the parents sign a release stating that anything that happens in these programs is not the fault of Dr. Phil or the Dr. Phil show. So they find their ways to get away with it, right? And then we've got Dave Boucher and Alan Knoll. Those are two of the Bethel Boys, as they're called, from Bethel Boys Academy, which was run by Herman Fountain. It was a religious military type boot camp. Alan Knoll was sent there when he was 10. That boy was waterboarded. He was tortured. He was beaten. He was isolated. He was restrained. In fact, I believe that when you watch the docuseries, you'll explain how he held a record for the longest time under restraints, which is pretty, it's disturbing. We have Anna Lucia Durfee, who is a survivor of Lakeland Girls Academy. One of the reasons that we focus on Lakeland Girls Academy, because we also have Jasmine Smith and Sela Fruler, excuse me, because a young teenage girl, her name was Naomi Wood, was complaining of stomach issues for over a week and was being denied care by Lakeland Girls Academy. And she ended up not making it home from the hospital. They are, when these things happen, Cornelius Fredericks in Kalamazoo, Michigan, throwing pieces of bread, little pieces of a sandwich at these kids who were picking on him at another table. And staff came in and held him down for 12 minutes, and they ended him. He didn't walk out of that place either. This happens too much. And it's not just the ones that we lose inside, it's the ones that we lose after as well. We can't take it. those survivors that they go out and they can't handle it anymore, and they self medicate, and they do pick up drink and drugs, and they do get into irrational, dangerous situations. I can only speak for me. This is what happened to me. I overdosed on drugs when I was 17 years old because what did I learn when I was in the troubled teen industry? That I was a dirtbag drug addict that didn't deserve anything. So I figured I'd try it, and I died when I was 17. But apparently I'm really stubborn, and I survived. No one would take me to the hospital. I survived on my own. So I fight every day. I will continue to fight every day. This is an excellent docuseries. It gives you so much information. I literally have notes that I'm not going to go over with you. It just was really important for me to know myself. You can learn. But what I want to say is that these are true stories. And it also features former staff members and former law enforcement and current law enforcement who say that, that are also on the advocate side. Charles Kennedy from the Pritchard, he was a Pritchard County police captain in the area of Lakeland Girls Academy. I don't mind him, please. We have Maya Salovitz, who wrote the book Help at Any Cost, which was a fantastic book for me. It helped me a lot in understanding the troubled teen industry as a whole when I first started doing my research. We have Tyler Kincaid, who's a journalist, who's very much focusing on. We have Thomas the Cat, who's also doing his due diligence against the troubled teen industry. And Esther Fountain, who was Herman Fountain's daughter. Herman Fountain, just to remind you, was the founder and leader of Bethel Boys and Girls Academy. Eventually, it did start out as boys. So one of the very interesting things that they show is people who support the troubled teen industry. And people who support the troubled teen industry are our politicians and presidents, presidential candidates, Congress people, judges, sheriffs, police chiefs, all down the line, social services, child protective services. The leaders of these places are taking money from these companies. One of the largest being UHS, founded by Alan Miller. UHS had an invitation to go to the Senate Finance Committee hearing last month where our advocates from Unsilenced were. And he not only chose not to come, but he chose to play the game with the commission, with the members, the House of Representatives. I think it's a little funny because it's like already immediately showing their tactic to the government with such a lack of respect of not giving an answer until the day before. One of their reasons, I believe, is that I don't believe that man would have had, who's running it now, would have had the nerve to walk into a room full of survivors and give his testimony to a hearing. And I say that on purpose as a challenge. Show your faith. Sit down at a hearing. Tell your story. Tell us how you're helping children. Tell us how that's your goal, even though you're making more than $24 billion a year on children. It's disgusting. So they cover Robert Litchfield, Art Barker, Chuck Diedrich, who started Synanon, Melvin Sembler. Now, Melvin Sembler is an interesting character. I do want to share a little something on him. There should be, it's talked about in the, I'm just going to show you this Google thing, and I want to go to his Wikipedia. So Melvin Sembler took the seed and turned it into Straight Incorporated. Straight Incorporated was Nancy Reagan's all-time favorite troubled teen industry program. She took people there all the time. For goodness sake, she took Princess Diana there and traipsed her around to look at the kids that were being tortured. I'm sure that she really appreciated that. Now, right here, we've got that Melvin Floyd Sembler was an American diplomat who was the United States ambassador to Italy from 2001 to 2005 and ambassador to Australia and Nauru from 1989 to 1993. He also served as chairman of the board of Sembler Company, which develops and manages shopping center, and co-founder of Straight Incorporated, a controversial drug treatment center. Sembler was the chairman of the Scooter Libby Legal Defense Trust and was a co-chair of the Florida Finance Committee for Mitt Romney. Now, what is our issue with Mitt Romney? Number one, the conflict of interest between Melvin Sembler and the United States governor by giving him ambassadorships for the money that he gave them from the children that he tortured. We are going to do a quick Mitt Romney. Okay, so we're going to stop this one, put a new screen up. Don't mind me. I'm still new at these little screen share things, but this is more important than my ability. My ability will grow. There's our boy. There's Mitt Romney. Mitt Romney owned, well, let's see. What does it say about him now? They did do in 2012 a story in Rolling Stone magazine about him and Bain Capital. So here is now, I know a lot about Mitt Romney. The reason I know a lot about Mitt Romney not only is because he was a presidential candidate, it was also because his father is known as one of the great, if not the greatest governor of Michigan of all time. Mitt Romney chose to move to Utah, join the Mormon Church, which is his right, and start a venture capital company that tortures and torments children, all while on the other side of his mouth saying that the children are the only thing that matters. That's Mitt Romney for you, folks. Here's Bain Capital. How do I know that Bain Capital now also so he also became the vice president. He became the vice in 1977. He was hired by Bain and Company, a firm out of Boston that had been formed a few years earlier by Bill Bain. He ended up taking it over, right? So he made it a private equity firm, which made these companies like Straight Incorporated, Melvin Sembler's. The reason that he was able to get away with what he was able to get away with was that I apologize. You have to give me a moment. And some of this stuff I'm doing the best I can. I am a survivor. This tends to get me a little riled up. But Bain Capital is very much tied into the troubled teen industry because they did give money to these industries, and that would be a huge conflict of interest. Melvin Sembler's left us last year. He passed last year. Mitt Romney is still not only alive but very active, and we need to hold him accountable for his actions, lack of actions, and just needs to be held accountable, as well as, Herman Fountain, who's still alive. He does a step down of prisoners now in Mississippi, I believe, called City of Refuge. That might be something to look into. We went over some other programs before, like the WASP programs. It's WWASP. That's a group of programs. But they cover these things really, really well. You know, they cover Lester Roloff and the Roloff homes. They call Lester Roloff the granddaddy of the troubled teen industry. Melvin Sembler and Mitt Romney were friends with the Bush family, both Presidents Bush. And all of the Republican Party members, just remember that this is the party of the children, right? But I'm not seeing that. This is the party of greed. And these are the people in the face of greed. And I will continue screaming their names. We have James Griffey from Agape Boarding School. That has since been closed. Jasmine Smith, who is a staff member at LGA, she has spoken out against Lakeland Girls Academy, which is great. We haven't heard anything from Don and Holly Williams, who were in charge of Lakeland Girls Academy. And William Knott. William Knott is in prison. William Knott started with Synanon. Again, everything comes back to Synanon. That's why I tend to bring up Scientology a lot, because Synanon and Scientology kind of came out at the same time around 1957. The difference is that L. Ron Hubbard had his, I'm going to mind tech everybody and saving the world. We're going to clear them of their reactive mind, and we're going to do this and we're going to do that. And it wasn't necessarily working. Chuck Diedrich, who had been a hard drinking man, wanted to get sober, got real popular in AA, and was a sought after speaker in AA, and he decided he was going to start the first rehab out there. Technically, his first office was in Venice Beach, California, then moved to Santa Monica, California, then moved all over the country. L. Ron Hubbard stole many of his ideas from him, including Narconon, which was their drug program, and especially Narconon for teens, and the Delphian Academy, which they modeled after the initial school, it wasn't called CEDU, but it was the initial school for kids to keep the children and the kids separated in Synanon. So that, unfortunately, is what ties us to cults. It's very cult-like behavior. It's very disturbing, but I'm so proud, and I thank Tara Malone. I thank Evan Wright. I thank Jen Robinson. I thank everybody who spoke up and was a part of this docuseries. I look forward to the Bethel Boys docuseries or documentary, my apologies, coming up in September. And who knows what else we'll have. We could have some more books by then. We could have some more documentaries on the way. You just keep watching the survivors, because we're the ones that are going to take care of the kids that are in there now. We're the ones that are going to be there for the recently released survivors to help them understand how they can restart their lives from a place of loving themselves, rather than struggling like someone like me, who is still trying to figure out who I am in this world, right? And lastly, I just want to scream something about this every single day on YouTube, just in case a mother, a father, a couple, whoever, are looking to send their children somewhere because they feel out of touch with them and they can't understand them, and they want to do everything that they can to save their lives. We want to make sure that parents are making informed decisions and not sending their children into the fire. We're not doing that anymore. We've been silent for years. We don't do silent anymore. We speak out, and we never stop speaking out. So thank you for watching. I know this was a very brief, very general overview of the docuseries. That's because I want you to watch it. I want you to watch it. It's very good, very well done. It is traumatic, and just so trigger warning. It's difficult to watch, but it's necessary. If you have kids, if you've been a kid, that maybe you think that you've been through something. If you're a staff from a place and you feel really awful and it traumatized you, I have in the description of my channel my email address. I would like anyone who feels compelled to please email me. It's BTWNTHA cracks. So between the cracks, but I had to shorten it at gmail.com. Please like or dislike my video and leave a comment afterwards if you so choose. I appreciate everybody showing up for this brief review. I would like to thank everybody behind the scenes who has helped me with this, and I will see you very soon because I have another video coming and a live stream on Sunday to do a week in review. I hope that you're all well. I hope that you're all being kind to each other and to, most importantly, yourselves. Thomas and I say bye. Take care of yourselves, everybody, and we'll see you again real soon. Coming for you, troubled teen industry, and you should be worried.